The Language of Flowers, featuring Loanne Burke, AIFD PFCI. Sponsored by AIFD Diamond Elite Partner, Smithers Oasis.
The language of flowers. Like music and painting and dance, the language of flowers is an art form that's been around for centuries. Where it specifically started, no one is exactly sure. Some trace the earliest roots of a floral language back to Turkish harems, where the girls in the harem would pass secret messages to each other using everyday objects like a piece of string, a bit of cloth, a piece of fruit, or a flower. We've seen the use of floral imagery in literary works for millennia, in poetry, in biblical writing, in historical documents, in music, where women and life are often compared with flowers. And then in the rise of the Victorian era, we saw the peak of floral language, where with a carefully constructed bouquet, one could convey a hidden sentiment, a secret thought, an emotion not easily expressed. What we must remember, though, it is not the flowers themselves that have meaning, but it is we who assign meaning to the flowers. Every artist has a story to tell. Every artist uses their medium to convey a thought, a feeling, an emotion. We are floral artists, and we speak in the language of flowers. in the language of flowers, flowers have been assigned different meanings over time. As I said, it's not the flowers themselves that have meaning, but we who assign those meanings to them. So for today, we will use the meaning of the flower that is most commonly occurring, or quite frankly, the meaning I like best. For example, a yellow rose. A yellow rose might mean a decrease of love, or infidelity, or in more modern language, it might mean friendship. But a red rose has almost always been associated with love, passion. We, as floral artists, are passionate about what we do. We have a passion for new varieties that come out, for the excitement of just touching and playing with flowers. Red rose, as I said, passion. The orange rose, fascination or desire. Hot pink rose, gratitude, gratefulness. A purple rose means enchantment. So if you look at these panels in the language of flowers, this is really a love letter. This is really a hot love letter. With the desire and fascination and the passion of the red roses. So oftentimes passion is chaotic and jumbled and swirled, and that's what I asked the painter to convey in the center panels. So she put together those panels, and we, as floral artists, we interpreted her paintings. So that's where this comes from. I have to thank the great folks at Smithers Oasis. They celebrate 60 years this year. Back in 1950. And I am privileged and honored to get to work with their products. They come out with some amazing things, and I just have to give kudos. The structure of this is custom-made foam panels that they created, and it's held up with nothing more than industrial strength Velcro. So, just a nod to that. The base flowers that are down here, also just a mix of those orange roses, the hot pink and the red. So if we take all those meanings of all those flowers, desire and fascination and passion and enchantment and gratitude for the industry that we work with every day, if we took all those things and we wove them together into one flower, what might that flower look like? I think it would look something like this. The red rose, passion.
Por
Cornflower. Cornflower means hope. Cornflower means hope in solitude, or single blessedness, or celibacy. I choose to focus on the hope in solitude portion. To me, that is reflection. Reflection. Every floral artist, every artist in general, needs to take time to get away by themselves, to reflect, to think, to imagine, to process. That, to me, is joy. There is a fantastic sculpture in an art museum near my hometown. It's a Frischmuth bronze sculpture, and it's called Joy of the Waters. Joy of the Waters is basically, she is a leaping water nymph, a bronze leaping nude water nymph. And when I first met her, she was covered in patina, a gorgeous silvery gray-green patina. And then they cleaned her all up and they brought her inside, and she's still really beautiful. But when I see that sculpture, that to me is joy and reflection. Cornflower. I have very few cornflower here, and I'm going to pop this up in here just a second. So the first piece, the gazing ball, beautiful gazing ball. Gazing balls have actually been around since the 13th century, but when they increased in popularity was in Victorian England, and they appeared in English gardens. So this gazing ball, all in the colors of the water lily. Hydrangea is not one of those flowers that has a positive, warm, fuzzy meaning. Hydrangea actually means you are cold and heartless. So if you did a bouquet of hydrangea and cornflower, it could mean you are cold and heartless, and I would rather remain celibate. Or it could mean I have hope in solitude, and I am constantly thinking about you. A little bit of a difference. The white roses mean secrecy or silence. And when we reflect and we refresh and we take a step back and think about what we do, that's symbolized by those white roses. And we're going to move on to, baby's breath. Baby's breath, as the lines of baby's breath swirl through here, baby's breath means everlasting love. So when you do those baby's breath weddings, just think and remind yourself, everlasting love. This is my fountain, and my fountain again has tulips, which can mean you have beautiful eyes. So if you got a tulip on your chair this morning, that might be a sign that you would have beautiful eyes. The Phalaenopsis orchids, refined beauty. So this is my fountain, and this flower right here, I have a great local grower that brought this to me about a week ago. It's Chinese forget-me-not. And forget-me-not means, don't forget me. And then this large structure right here, this is my interpretation, beautifully executed by Carol Chappell, of Joy of the Waters, that leaping water nymph with the delphinium, which means levity or joy. The roses, again, secrecy or silence, more delphinium in these bouquets, and just the beautiful swirl of the water in all of the snakeskin wire and the elegant bouquet holders that just match all the swirl and the fountain. I think she did a beautiful job interpreting Joy of the Waters. And then every fountain needs a reflecting pool. So the last piece is actually down here on the floor. I have to check your screens for that. Tulips again, beautiful eyes. There's a swirl of calla lilies in the bottom of that. And the calla lilies mean magnificent beauty. Beautiful, again, snakeskin wire in that gorgeous, gorgeous blue, marine blue container. So nice swirl, a reflecting pond for joy of the waters. And that is cornflower. Every artist has a period of time where they are lacking creativity. It's just not there. It's blank and bleak. It's the blank canvas of the painter. It's the blank stanza of the composer. It's the empty vessel of the floral artist, when we have absolutely no creativity. This piece with the vines, when you see vines in general, the meaning of vines in general is drunkenness or intoxication. Yeah. But these are grapevine, and grapevine mean abundance. Ivy means friendship or community. I have found one true heart. So even though we have those bleak moments where we are lacking completely in creativity, it's those times when we come together in community as artists and we can find strength. And there is a synergy when we are all together that is much, much greater than the sum of our parts. There's a wonderful experience I've been able to be a part of in Michigan at the home of Bob Frise called Nature's Creative Edge. I've affectionately referred to this as Florist Camp because that is a time where floral artists from all over the country get together and we get to create on beautiful paths through the woods. It's a time where I get to refresh by coming together with all my floral artists and learning new techniques and being inspired by what they do. So, incidentally, before I get to that, the Tillandsia, there is no meaning I found for Tillandsia except it was named after a Finnish botanist. So, but isn't it gorgeous? The gorgeous Xerographica Tillandsia that just highlight this frame. Another interesting feature, this grapevine came out of a vineyard in California, and I'm told it's Pinot Grigio. So at this time, I want to invite some of my floral friends out to help me transform this frame, this blank, somewhat bleak frame with just touches of ivy, and we're going to take this and transform it and change it just a bit. That's my secret garden. That's a place I want to hang out. Beautiful bouquet of ivy, meaning friendship or community. Water lily, the symbol of rebirth. Water lily also means eloquence or trust in God. I want to acknowledge the other artists that are non-floral artists that have been joining me so far. My painter, Maggie McCollum. My dancer, Kaylee Montel, who happens to be my niece. Pianist, Mark Carver. My son, Sean Burke, who actually composed the piece that you just heard. And my dear friend, Jessica Rivera, Grammy award-winning opera singer, Jessica Rivera. who I know simply as Jessica. Jessica and I first met through flowers. I actually met her far after the two bouquets, one for the first bouquet that her soon-to-be husband sent her. I'd never met her. And then her bridal bouquet that I designed, having never met her or spoken to her. But it was the first bouquet I designed completely using the language of flowers, with things that I wanted for their marriage and things that I felt were true of anyone that Barry would choose to marry. They had orchids, Phalaenopsis orchids, refined beauty, Veronica for fidelity. It was my first experience with truly working with the language of flowers. So water lily is the picture of reinvention, of rebirth. I'm going to start right back here. This wreath is woven entirely of flat cane. And when the flat cane is wet, when you soak the flat cane, it becomes very malleable, and you can twist it and braid it and reinvent it and weave it. This is the picture of reinvention, with the bright path of flowers that come through here, more of the orchids, the James Story orchids and the Cymbidium orchids. Again, the general meaning for orchids, refined beauty. The anthurium mean hospitality. And then just a dabble of stock, and stock means promptitude, promptness. But the word in the Victorian dictionary, which I found fascinating, was promptitude. So this is the picture of reinvention. So my wreath out of flat cane. Another symbol of reinvention and rebirth. And as floral artists, we often have to reinvent ourselves. The industry changes and we adapt. New techniques come and we adapt and change. We reinvent who we are as artists. The picture of that comes with the butterfly, the symbol of a metamorphosis or a change. So this butterfly, covered again in orchids, more of the Phalaenopsis orchids, and incidentally, this was the Phalaenopsis orchid that was in Jessica's bridal bouquet. More of the orchids out the back, and that desire rose, the orange rose, running through the center of that for desire. I love all the colors and the twisting and the reinvention of the wire work that's in this butterfly. So to me, water lily, reinvention, and rebirth are symbolized by this butterfly. I did not want to use any water lilies specifically in the designs in this piece, but I wanted things that represented that reinvention and that rebirth. And so if you take a look at this design with woven flat cane, you can peek inside and get a hint that there's something that's happening inside, a rebirth and a reinvention that happens inside. And if we take a little bit closer look, we can gently peel back the layers. And then the reinvention comes complete. The water lily is fascinating to me because the water lily comes up out of the muck and the mire and opens to this pristine bloom with not a mark on it, like the white water lily. Anything that can come through muck and mire and come out spotless is something I want to be. So, just a capstone piece that will add to this wreath in the back. And that will finish off water lily, rebirth. Gladiola means strength of character. Gladiola has to be, hands down, my favorite flower. I grew up with gladiolas. My father and my grandfather hybridized gladiolas. The gladiola has been relegated to the side for far too long. We have an entire generation of people, entire generation of young people who have not seen this flower. And they say, what is that flower? I was very, very excited that I could connect with a gladiola grower that was able to bring me all of these fabulous blooms of gladiolas. I had the privilege this past fall of visiting 2 gladiola farms in Michigan. 2 very different gladiola farms. One grew the cut flower, and one grew the bulb. So I took a tour of the one that grew the cut flower because that's what I was fascinated with, the cut flower. And then as I was driving away from that, I happened to pass by the one that grew the bulbs. And interesting, when the bulbs are growing and the spike is set, when the bloom first is set, they shave off the fields. And all the strength then goes to the bulb to produce a fabulous bulb. So in that, I found that fascinating because it's what's under the surface that was growing. And that was the beautiful part, not just the spike of gladiola, but what was under the surface. And as I was driving by that field, I noticed there was one bloom on one spike in acres and acres of cut gladiola. One tenacious little bloom that had to bloom. That is strength of character, and that is what we possess as floral artists. We have periods of time where we are passionate about what we do, periods of time where we need to stop and reflect and think and imagine possibilities. We have periods of time where we have nothing and no creativity, and we need our friends to rally around us and support us and gain a new insight, a new thrill of design by being in community, which is what we do right here. We have periods of time where we need to reinvent ourselves, and all that produces an amazing strength of character. This is the story of every artist. This is the story of every floral artist. This is also the story of a 3-year-old little girl who remembers playing in the garden with her father, carrying the gladiolas that he grew, and remembering that he taught her to appreciate all growing things. This is our story. We are floral artists, and we speak in the language of flowers.
So what did you think of that? Exactly. Wow, the language of flowers.
I also need to acknowledge the wonderful soloist that joined Jessica on the last piece, Miss Kirsten Leslie.
Great. Let's thank Loanne again. Loanne, thank you so much for this incredible program.
Thank you. Thanks.
We'd also like to take an opportunity to thank the sponsor of this program.
Yes,
Tim?
absolutely. Everybody from the Smithers Oasis Company. We have Kelly Mays. Kelly, thank you so much for bringing us this program. Bruce Eckert, Laura Vitale, Kevin Ivlesacker, Jack Sir Lewis. You guys are fantastic. We are the artists that work in this medium. Yes. We're the people that use the language of flowers, but it's a company like yours that brings us the extra words for our vocabulary, the punctuation marks, and the things that make this language so beautiful. So thank you for being such an excellent partner. Thank you, everybody.